The event, it will be recorded and shared on our YouTube channel with our eCampus Ontario partners and other registrants who could not attend today. We ask that you please mute your mics as not to have interference with the presentation. The format for today is conversational, and you are encouraged to put your questions in the chat, and we will include them as we go. If we miss your question, please know that we will share them with Dylan and get back to you with an answer after the event. So without further delay, I'm pleased to introduce you to Dylan March, faculty, French and Multicultural Studies in the School of Interdisciplinary Studies. Dylan is Conestoga's OER Ranger through the eCampus Ontario OER Ranger program. So I'm just going to stop sharing my screen so that you can see us. And welcome, Dylan. Would you please tell us what is the OER Ranger program and when and why did you apply to become an OER Ranger?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for that introduction. Also, thank you to everyone for coming today. It's great to see everyone. I think maybe I'll start off by giving a bit of an overview of the OER Ranger program. I have a bit of a slide, just like one slide here that I wanted to share from our training there with the OER Ranger program with eCampus Ontario. So the OER Ranger program, essentially what it is it is intended for faculty members. I think mostly probably primarily targeted at educators, but I think also staff too can apply to the OER Ranger program, but don't quote me on that. But geared towards faculty members of Ontario colleges, universities, and Indigenous institutions to help implement and encourage other faculty to use open educational resources at their institution. So they were really looking for people who were passionate about OERs, passionate about education, instructional design, who wanted to be the champion for their organization to enhance the adoption of open educational resources. Now, I was really lucky, or I am really lucky that I work for Conestoga, and of course we have such a great library with great resources, one of which is Kim's team, which I now know does a lot of amazing work with OERs. So it's been great working with Kim and being supported on this. I think with some other institutions, though, they're not as advanced as Conestoga is, unfortunately, with the OERs. So I think the original purpose for this particular program was in the fall semester, we were supposed to undergo several training sessions. I did 2 live sessions, which were about, I think, total it's about 3 hours. And then we had a 7-hour course to go through. It was pretty comprehensive, and it walked us through a couple of different modules, which I'll touch on in a sec. And in the part of the fall semester and most of the winter semester, well, I guess just January and February, we were supposed to create presentations and deliver them to other faculty at our college or university to help really raise awareness about what OERs are, how faculty members can incorporate these into their courses to help create a more engaging experience for their learners, as well as to reduce the costs of textbooks and to increase the accessibility of the resources used in class. And unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but fortunately for me, as I said, Conestoga has a great team behind this. So our project looked a little bit different. Working with Kim, it didn't really make sense to do the same kind of presentations that eCampus was hoping for us to do. So instead, what Kim and I decided to do that we thought might be more impactful for a Conestoga context was to design some videos that can be reused kind of over and over again and be integrated with the existing education program that Kim and her team have developed. So that's what I'm going to talk a bit about today. Also, in total across Ontario, they had 84 rangers from 46 institutions. So I know when I first jumped on the kickoff call, I was not expecting there to be like about 100 people on the call. There was a bit overwhelming. I was expecting they might pick like a handful of people from across Ontario, but it was there's a lot of rangers right now for this at least for this cohort. So which is really good. I think I'm really excited to see all the changes going to come from that. The training that we had to complete was actually, I can show you really quickly as well. The training that we had to complete was on eCampus's website. They use like a similar platform to Conestoga. I'm just gonna share my screen. And here we had to take this course, which really kind of walked us through all the essentials of what OERs are. We learned about like open education and the principles of open learning, as well as open licensing. They went through pretty comprehensively explaining all of the licenses to us with some really good practice exercises. And of course, I loved the fact that throughout the whole course, they had built it using OERs, which was it's always so great to see like the message and the thing that you're being taught is you're using that method to teach it. I love seeing that. So that was really great. We also learned quite a bit about accessibility and how to incorporate that into your course, especially when designing resources, since that's such a unique consideration. And then we also learned a little bit about some of the essentials of H5P and then Pressbooks, where the text, the OERs can be published. So that was pretty fascinating. I had not used Pressbooks myself beyond, just like reading a textbook or whatnot. H5P I was already pretty comfortable with, but it was nice that they gave that overview, because I think it really is such an underutilized tool and really is so impactful in the classroom. And then in terms of in terms of how I got involved, what really attracted to me about becoming a ranger was I am like super passionate about making education accessible. While I am a part-time faculty member here at Conestoga, my full-time job is in instructional design and creating courses, making sure they're accessible. So really similar to a lot of very similar like skills that are required for like adopting OERs. So it's already something that I'm really passionate about. Already have like of course a good foundational knowledge, since this is like topics and things that I work with on a regular basis. I also really have I think a strong passion for bridging the gap between instructional design and teaching. I've worked at Conestoga as a faculty member since 2019. And I've also worked in instructional design for I think about like 7 or 8 years now. I'd have to actually go and count, but anyways, not important. And I used to work at D2L as an instructional designer there, and eventually the manager of their team. So I spent a lot of time working with faculty members to help them bring their course to life and really elevate it. So through my roles at Conestoga and also my role at D2L, I really saw that like the potential for gaps between instructional design and like developing really nice courses and also teaching. And I really think that because I have experience with both roles, I'm able to kind of relate to both instructional designers and also teachers, and make instructional design a core element of teaching, even where an instructional designer isn't present. And I think one of the great things that I liked about this OER Ranger program was the program is designed for teachers, and really while eCampus is teaching faculty members about OERs, we're also really teaching them about instructional design principles. And even if, I mean, I hope, of course, OERs become much more widespread in Ontario and also the world too as well. But I hope at the very least, those that have went through this course and those that have trained other faculty member across Ontario at least took away some of those like really foundational instructional design principles, like accessibility and licensing, and ensuring that content is organized in a logical way that's not just like content dumping on learners. So that's something that really interested me as well, that I thought that I had kind of a unique skill set to support that. I also really like that it was a flexible schedule. I do already work 2 jobs, so it can be quite busy. So I liked that they gave us a block of 40 hours, and they're like, we can fit it in whenever, like whatever works for our schedule. So that was really great. And I also just wanted to learn more about OERs myself. Like I have used OERs in my classroom, but a lot of it's been self-learning. So this has been a great opportunity to learn about OERs in a more structured way. And I've also learned a lot from Kim too in making these videos. So that is great. And I feel a lot more empowered now to use OERs with confidence, whereas before I was like, oh, I don't know if this is right, or like, I don't know if this is a good fit, or like, I don't really know what the license means, kind of thing. So it definitely really really helpful for me. And in terms of how I got involved with eCampus, I believe I saw an email, I think Conestoga, or maybe it was Kim, someone had distributed some sort of email corporately to the organization at Conestoga, advertising this program that eCampus was putting out. So I like went to their website, just sent in, I think I just sent in my CV or filled out a form. I don't actually quite remember which, what I submitted. And then I received approval shortly after, and they sent me all the details for how to onboard and whatnot. So that's a quick kind of overview of my experience there. Any, do we want to
So
start for questions or?
yeah, well, I'd like to just tease out a little bit about what you said about your passion for instructional design and course design and teaching. And so a question I have for you is, how does OER fit? Where does it fit with course design, your passion for ID and teaching? How do you, from your perspective?
That's a great question. I think that hmm, my my response is that I think that instructional design has changed quite a bit, like over like even like since I would say even since COVID, it's like quite transformed. And even thinking about like the early 2000s or in the 90s, like before internet was like so easily accessible and like super fast and less clunky. Instructional design was all about like formatting books and like making sure that you sent people course packages. And I think now, thanks to technology, we have a lot more tools at our disposal to not just make a course like easy to go through or like less overwhelming to go through, or organizing the content in a logical way that's easy for learners to digest. I think now with the world of instructional design, we really can do anything within a course and really not just make a course easy to understand and easy to go through as a learner, but we make it super dynamic and really bring it to life with technology. And I think at the heart of that, especially since like funding and education is always a problem globally. So I think one way that we can really bring teaching to the next level, also instructional design to the next level, is with OERs, because they are so centered and focused, or at the heart of them is technology, and also they are so free and accessible that that really like anyone globally can use it, provided they have access to the internet and a computer and whatnot. So I really see them as powerful tools. Also, I think that the collaboration piece is super crucial. We have like academic journal articles, which are always peer reviewed. We have textbooks, which are like often peer reviewed as well. But I mean, maybe not necessarily always. And I like that the OERs is constantly in iteration. People are constantly updating to it. And I think it's also great too for, I know for me, like at Conestoga, I'm lucky that we have a pretty big like language department for a school that doesn't necessarily have a program in like a degree or diploma in languages. So I'm really lucky that like if I have questions about stuff or need to bounce questions off of bounce ideas off of someone, I have great folks like Rita, who's on the call here, or other faculty member in my department that I can chat with. But I imagine that like if Conestoga was a lot smaller and I was the only person teaching French here, then it would make it harder to share resources, to bounce ideas off of other people. And I think that because collaboration is really at the heart of open educational resources, it makes it easier for someone who is just kind of like a single person department or single person teaching a subject matter to access resources that will help them support teaching, so the onus is not just on them. Though, yeah, I would say those are the two biggest things for me.
That's great. So collaboration is open principle that underpins open educational resources. So it's so great to see you highlight that. When thinking back about the program that you just participated in, is there like one highlight or maybe one new learning that you surprised you or that you didn't anticipate?
Definitely. I feel bad saying this, but I didn't know that Conestoga had an OER team to support. I know I know that Conestoga has worked on OERs. I know Rita created a really nice textbook for both Spanish and French. So I knew that there was OER work being done. I just didn't know that there was support there. So that was really great. I think unfortunately as a part-time faculty member, I'm guilty of maybe not always making use of all of the great resources at Conestoga. Hopefully I'm not the only one in that boat. But I think that for me, that was like definitely one of the biggest learnings is that there is this team to support me, and Kim has been so phenomenal and extremely approachable with questions and super supportive. So if I was to develop an OER, I would be thankful to have someone like Kim or her team to support. And also a more, I feel like I have now a better understanding of the licenses. Like every time I would use a license before, I'd have to like really read and be like, okay, what does that mean? Now I feel a lot more confident in which ones do what.
That's excellent. So that sounds like a pretty good learning for yourself as well as just within our own organization, which we hope to grow. Like Julie's made a comment, and it will only get even better. And I know that Rita had a lot of support from our library colleagues before this was a specific department, and now we're coming together and we've got this specific department. So that's great. So if there was one piece of advice you could give other faculty members about open or OER, what would that be?
This kind of actually aligns with something else that I learned, but I think this is good advice as well. I had no idea that that open learning will support you with research for OERs. They have this really handy intake form where they ask you some like pretty detailed questions about your course and what you're looking for. Actually, I can share it if that's okay.
Yeah, we can pop that in the chat for you too. That's great.
Oh yeah, sure. If you have that handy, I think I can find a quick open learning. But there's this really handy. Oh, oops, Conestoga. Here. So they have this really awesome like intake form here, and you kind of just go through, fill in your course details, everything you're looking for, and from there, Kim's team will do a scan through all of the all the OER libraries, and make recommendations for there we go, and make recommendations for you for different OERs that you can include in your course. And I think that is a huge time saver. I have also incorporated certain OERs into my classes as well, and I think like the search for them is not the funnest piece. I think just because it seems like there's not a central repository for OERs, and there's like so many different places you can look. So that I know for me was very overwhelming, and I consider myself pretty confident with technology and like comfortable with like doing research, but I know like a lot of faculty members don't necessarily have that same type of experience, or maybe are not as comfortable with technology. And I can't help but think like, oh my god, like I'm overwhelmed by this. I can't imagine like with someone else who is like already like a little overwhelmed by technology, going through and searching through all these different search engines for OERs is just like it's a lot. So I'm really glad to hear that Kim's team takes that onus, because I really think that that is a really big blocker for a lot of people to adopt OERs, that there's not a central repository. And the fact that Kim's team has this expertise, they're willing to put in the time and do this research on your behalf. And then afterwards, they send you an Excel report with some of their recommendations for you as a faculty member and subject matter expert to actually go through and evaluate if that is the right resource. But I think that's the one piece of advice is like definitely use open learning for with the resources.
That's great. Thanks, Dylan. So let's get to the exciting part. You've been working on a project for us, and you have a sample to share, one or two videos to share with us, I believe.
Yes, absolutely. I'm gonna pull them up here. These are also drafts. I know I still have to make a couple of edits. I know there was it Rachel had sent through some edits the other day. I still have to work through those. So consider these drafts. So the first video is about the principles of open learning.
Open education is a term used to describe a set of open educational practices underpinned by pedagogies like constructivism and social justice. The open movement and philosophy is centered around the idea that knowledge should be shareable, adaptable, and openly accessible. It emphasizes collaboration, the removal of barriers in education, and inclusion. One of the core practices of open education is open educational resources, or OERs. OERs are learning, teaching, and research materials which are available in the public domain or released under an open license, such as a Creative Commons license, which you may have seen. A resource that is in the public domain allows anyone to freely access, use, adapt, and redistribute them with few or no restrictions. A resource with a Creative Commons license is copyright protected, allowing creators to retain some rights, such as requiring attribution, but allowing others to know what can or cannot be done with the work. There are all sorts of resources which can be OERs, such as complete textbooks, simulation syllabi, lecture videos, quizzes, or even complete courses. Did you know that Open Learning at Conestoga College can provide research support to help you find the best open educational resources for your class? They can collaborate with you to find the open educational resources you need to support your course so that your students don't need to purchase a textbook. Open education is about the freedom to modify and redistribute these educational resources, which is a foundational aspect of the open education philosophy. It views education as a collective and collaborative process with the ability to customize and improve educational resources without any restrictions. It aligns with the belief that higher education is a public good, and as a result, knowledge created within colleges and universities should be freely accessible to all. Open education also aligns with the United Nations' Sustainable Development Goal 4, quality education, which aims to increase access to education globally. With the growing role of technology in the classroom, the open education movement is a way to bridge the gap between traditional education systems and the potential of 21st century technology to also support more affordable and effective teaching and learning. So, how do you bring open education to your classroom? Connect with Open Learning at Conestoga College to find out.
Okay, so that's the first one. The other one is also a draft. I still actually also have to send it to Kim, so this will be a live premiere for her as well. I finished this one late last night. So this one is about the Creative Commons licenses. Sorry.
Discovering open educational resources, or OERs, can be a great asset for your course to support open learning while offering a wealth of diverse and adaptable materials. Most OERs come with a license attached, so understanding the various open licenses is crucial. They dictate how you can use, modify, and share these materials. While they may seem complicated and confusing, we'll show you that using open licenses can be straightforward once you have a bit more context. After watching this tutorial, you'll be able to effectively and confidently integrate OERs into your teaching, ensuring that you adhere to the legal and ethical guidelines of these resources. Conestoga faculty member Janelle found a worksheet that she can use with her learners in her introductory Spanish course, but the license states that the resource is licensed under CC BY NC ND. After reading the description of the license, she doesn't really understand how this applies to her. The first starting point is to ask yourself these two questions. 1. Do you plan to modify the work? If no, you're good to use any Creative Commons license. If yes, let's take a closer look at the license. And question 2, is your primary interest to make money from using this OER? Most Conestoga courses are considered non-commercial in nature, so most Conestoga faculty would answer no, which means you're also good to use any Creative Commons license. If yes, we should take a closer look at the license. A Creative Commons license always begins with the abbreviation CC to denote Creative Commons. The remaining abbreviations specify what rights the resource creator wants to retain to their original work. The worksheet was developed by Seneca faculty member Sonia, who also teaches Spanish. As a creator, Sonia has the right to attribution. In other words, it requires that future users of the OER, like Conestoga faculty member Janelle, include an attribution statement to the work so that everyone knows who originally created the resource. This is marked in the license by the letters BY. Sonia also has the right to share alike. In other words, if Janelle makes any changes or modifications to Sonia's original OER, Conestoga faculty member Janelle must share the updated OER to the Creative Commons under the same license as the original work. This ensures that all work remains freely available under similar conditions. This is indicated in the license by the letters SA. Sonia also has the right to non-commercial. This means that while educators, like Conestoga faculty, can typically use Sonia's OER in their teaching, organizations cannot use them if their primary intent is to make money on the OER. This condition is represented by the letters NC in the license. Most Conestoga courses are considered non-commercial, so you can typically use OERs with this license. And finally, Sonia has the right to no derivative works, which means that while people like Conestoga faculty Janelle can copy and distribute the work, she cannot make changes to it in any way. This is important for creators like Sonia who may want her work to remain in the original form she created it, without any alterations. This restriction is denoted by the letters ND in the license. So what can Janelle do with her CC BY NC ND license? Take a few moments to think. In the case of Conestoga faculty member Janelle, the CC BY NC ND license is a straightforward process. Janelle simply needs to ensure she credits Sonia, the original creator, and doesn't use the worksheet for any commercial purposes or make any changes to it. Let's look at another example. Let's meet Conestoga faculty member Ravi. Ravi has found a really cool American textbook that's also an OER. The textbook covers many of the topics in Ravi's course, but it has a CC BY NCSA license. Ravi wants to use everything in the textbook and add a few additional examples that are relevant to Canada, but he's not sure if he's allowed to do this based on the license. Take a few minutes to decipher what Ravi is able to do. In this case, Conestoga faculty member Ravi is able to ensure that he credits the original creator and doesn't use the textbook for any commercial purposes. The SA on the license indicates that if there are any changes made, that they should also be published for others to use in the future. So while Ravi is able to remix and repurpose this OER, he must also share the updated version with the same CC BY and CSA license for others too. Now that we've explored the specifics of Creative Commons licenses, let's look at one last license, the public domain. Some OERs are in the public domain, which essentially means they are free of all copyright restrictions. You may notice the abbreviation CC0 or simply public domain. You can use public domain content for any purpose. Understanding and navigating the world of Creative Commons licenses may initially seem daunting. That being said, with a bit of knowledge and attention to detail, these licenses become powerful tools to enhance your teaching with accessible, diverse, and high-quality OERs. If you have any questions about licensing, reach out to Open Learning at Conestoga College.
Okay, and then I have and then two that I'm still working on, but I only show like a super short clip from it. Is we're making two kind of like playlists with like mini videos that walk you through the steps, both how to adopt an OER or to adapt an OER. So this is the first kind of intro video to that the playlist for how to adapt an OER.
Open Learning provides a wraparound support model to support faculty to adapt open educational resources, or OERs. When we adapt an OER for our courses, we're reusing existing open educational resources and modifying or adding to the resource so that it's relevant to suit your own needs. To adapt an open educational resource in your classroom, you'll need to follow 8 steps. Step 1, completing the intake form. Step 2, assessing resources. Step 3, planning your OER. Step 4, designing your OER. Step 5, developing the resource. Step 6, sharing the resource. And finally, Step 7, reporting your OER. These steps will each be explained in the next few short videos.
Okay. I don't have the other videos ready yet, so we'll have to take a pause for those ones. But I think on the topic of reporting, I know Kim just added the link there for reporting the OERs in the chat.
Thank you for this, Dylan. I'm very excited to see the videos coming to fruition. I know it's been a lot of work and a little bit of back and forth with us, but it's pretty exciting time. I just want to open the floor if there's any questions from the audience that they would like to ask Dylan about being a ranger or about open, please feel free to either unmute or pop the question in the chat.
I see a question in the chat from Amber. Also, hi Amber.
Awesome.
Amber and I used to work together at D2L. So it's cool seeing her here. Hi. The videos, I'm not sure actually where they will be stored after the fact. I haven't uploaded them anywhere just yet. But do you know, Kim, where you're planning on putting them?
We will place them on the Open Learning YouTube channel, and we will find a spot for them also on the website. But once they're completed and have all the accessibility components added and those types of things. Yeah, so for sure we will be sharing with the CC BY non-commercial share alike license.
I have a feeling you might also see them again if you take one of the OER micro-credentials in your future.
Yes, that's a great plug. For sure, you will be seeing them. Thank you, Julie.
I'm actually really curious, Dylan, sort of your process. I really enjoyed the videos. I think they're really well done. How did you go about? What were the creative decisions you made?
Yeah, that's a great question. Funnily enough, I use a similar process to those last 7 steps that Kim and her team uses to adapt the OER. So my first step usually for any kind of project is just to do kind of like a quick needs assessment, like collect any requirements for the project. So I connected with Kim to find out what kind of videos that she was looking for, what was like the gap there in their department that I could help support with. Also, I collected any requirements for branding requirements or color, specific colors, any specific fonts, anything like that. Or some organizations have other much more specific branding requirements. So that was my first step, and then from there, I worked on doing a bit of research, looking through their website, the Open Learning's website, to really understand the services myself. And then from there, I worked with Kim to craft some scripts. Once we finalized reached a kind of a final draft of the script. From there, I did a bit of storyboarding. Just so I use Adobe Illustrator to draw all that stuff or design all of the stuff that you saw in the video. So I just made a couple of stills and sent them to Kim just to see get a vibe check, what she thinks about them. If she's like, these look horrible type of thing, then it's better to know then than after I had made the videos. Thankfully it wasn't her reaction. And then once I got the okay there, and I knew the scripts were in their kind of final draft version, I recorded the audio, edited the audio to take out any mistakes I had made, or if there's any background noise or whatever, to make it a bit more crisp. And then I finished designing all of the kind of scenes, and using Adobe After Effects, I added in some of the animations with keyframing and stuff. And that's it. That was my process.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good question.
So any other questions from the audience? Give it a minute or two in case you're processing. Doesn't look like there's anything else, Dylan. I want to thank you so much for your work as an OER Ranger, for engaging with the Open Learning team, who happens to be here, and the library learning teams as well. We've really appreciated your willing to be the Conestoga OER Ranger. I think if there was just one last thing I would ask is if they run the OER Ranger program again, would you champion that for faculty and or staff?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I would certainly be an OER again. It was a fun opportunity, and I definitely learned lots. And yeah, definitely no negative experiences, at least with the OER Ranger program. So yeah, and it's been a great pleasure working with you, Kim. It's great to have gotten to know you through this project. I'm sure it won't be the last time that we chat.
Oh no, now I know where you are in your skills.
Oh, no.
I'll be seeking you out for sure. That's awesome. Yeah. Is there anything else you'd want to share before we close out our event today?
I don't think so. Well, I mean, maybe I guess like one kind of final point, if for any of the other faculty that are on the call here, or if you have a colleague that has any questions about OERs and you, I mean, I think probably asking the library would probably be a better resource than me, but you're also more than welcome to connect with me, and I'm happy to answer any questions or connect anyone with Kim if I can't.
That's great. Well, thank you so much. And a big thanks to our audience for coming out today and hearing participating in our event and hearing about the OER Ranger program and the wonderful assets that Dylan is putting together for us. And so with that, I'm going to stop the recording and wish you all a wonderful lunch period. Thank you so much. And thank you as well, Dylan.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for coming. Appreciate it.